Such debt must be assessed and the means and mode of repayment approved by a regulatory body. The only way to not pass an increased cost to the public is to not acquire certain types of medium and long-term debt. Others would say this more technically than I am doing now, but I am a lay person, and so are the vast majority of persons listening to this broadcast. So let's sum it up by saying that the government has found a way to help DOMLEC generate and also to access the supply of electricity that is needed to match current demand without being forced by law to pass such increases onto you, the consumer, who we know cannot bear such at this time. You have suffered enough with these blackouts in this period of unstable and unreliable service. So we are pressing ahead. As the majority shareholder of DOMLEC, the government of Dominica is fully cognizant of its responsibility to take a lead role in solving this troublesome issue. We recognize and regret the inconvenience of all this to individuals, as well as to the business community. The government itself is a victim of the episode, as productivity levels would naturally have fallen, and we anticipate negative impact on revenues. So we are all in this together. But I wanted to say to you today that relief is on its way. You may rest assured that the government will continue to work closely with the management of DOMLEC to source appropriate solutions to secure the comfort and well-being of all Dominicans. I ask today for your understanding and continued patience. This is a challenge and an inconvenience for us all, but it is a solution that is well within our capacity to navigate and overcome. Short, medium, and long-term approaches have been identified. In under 2 weeks, significant improvements will be seen. In just over a month, the situation would have been overhauled and rectified completely. This is the assurance the government has been given, and this is the standard to which we shall hold DOMLEC. I appreciate your listening, and I wish each of you a safe, productive, and blessed day. Thank you very much. Now is it okay? I can say that? Now the press is present, and I will allow for some questions, if they do have questions. Yes.
There's always questions here. Just before we get done, I just have a original question to ask. Wanted to find out what transpired at the meeting we did last week between several Caribbean leaders, including yourself, and the Barbados Prime Minister with the Foreign Affairs Minister of Venezuela.
Yeah. Well, the meeting was with the Executive Vice President of Venezuela, who was the highest Venezuelan official present at the meeting, and also the Foreign Minister of Venezuela, along with several of the Prime Ministers from the Caribbean community. And also we had a telephone engagement with the President of Venezuela. The main point of discussion had to do with the border dispute between Venezuela and Guyana. These are two sisterly nations within the Caribbean space, both of which we all have excellent relations with. And what we always do as a CARICOM grouping is to seek to use our good offices to help member states resolve issues among themselves in an amicable manner. ultimately, the issue of the border between Venezuela and Guyana is a matter for these two nations. But we were using our good offices to ensure that while the issue is being addressed, that we can maintain good relations among ourselves and between ourselves. We felt this was a constructive engagement. We were very transparent with the government of Venezuela, and they were also very transparent with us on this issue. And so we really were using our good offices to seek some better understanding between the two countries on this long-standing border issue.
While you are on meetings, Prime Minister, are you all as CARICOM heads meeting with Canadian Prime Minister sometime this month? And what are some of the matters coming up for this discourse?
Yeah, well, we have the CARICOM-Canada summit. It will be held in the middle of October, the 17th, 18th, and 19th of October in Canada. There are three main points that will be engaging the Canadian government on, the Prime Minister on. One, of course, has to do with climate change and the need for countries like Canada, who are part of the G7, to do more in their response to the issue of climate change and the impact it's having on countries within the Caribbean. And we saw what happened last night going to this morning. Also in Antigua, Barbados, there were flooding as well. You know, so we're being impacted by this on an ongoing basis, and so we believe that Canada is in a good position to have a stronger voice and more practical action, and getting the other colleagues within the G7, among other nations, to play a greater role and to live up to the commitments of capitalizing this fund to assist countries like ours in building resilience against natural disasters. And you know, they've been talking about $100 billion. The new estimate really is $2.3 trillion that developing countries will require if we're to seriously address and assist us in building resilience against the impact of climate change. And so we go into COP28 in December in the UAE, and this will be an important meeting to get some firm commitments from Canada with our CARICOM-Canada summit. The other issue has to do with the changing of the governance structure and the way that countries like ours access financing from international financial institutions. As you know, the government of Barbados have presented the Bridgetown Initiative, which CARICOM has adopted as its own. So we're in full support of what's been presented in the Bridgetown Initiative for calling for the change of the way that financing is made available to developing countries. And so that's another issue, because Canada sits on the G7. And really, for there to be changes in the international financial institutions, the G7 must be part of this. And so we want to get more political will from countries like Canada, and having clear timelines to have this thing effective, because we can't wait until eternity for this to come. And so this is one topic. And of course, the final topic, broad topic, is the situation in Haiti. The UN has passed a resolution. Kenya has agreed to provide 1,000 police officers. But certainly Haiti needs more than that. Haiti is going to need a comprehensive set of measures to help it, one, stabilize the situation and bring law and order back into Haiti, but also, going forward, an economic plan that is well financed by the international community. Because even if you were to address the security issue in Haiti, which we must address, and following which you must have elections in Haiti, as everyone has agreed, the Haitian government people have agreed. But you have a humanitarian crisis. You have little or no access to education, healthcare, public institutions, etc. So Haiti is going to need a complete overhaul and a Marshall Plan to help it get out of the situation once and for all. So it is just not go in and send some people in there and, okay, well, we have been able to stabilize things and go out. The Security Council resolution, in my view, needs to now build upon itself and to look at every clause in the resolution and to determine what specific actions which need to be taken to effect those clauses in the resolution. And I think that that is going to be very important to do. My view is that we need to get the United Nations, we need to get the IMF, the World Bank, development partners, Haitian people, led by the Haitian people, to really come together, CARICOM, to come together to assist the Haitian people with galvanizing that support. I mean, Haiti needs us now more than ever. And we understand the precarious situation with the gangs, but Haiti is not the only country with gangs. So there are strategies we believe that can be employed to really treat with the gangs and neutralize them, and to bring law and order in Haiti and ensure that the Haitian people can go about their daily lives like the rest of us in the world.
Mr. Prime Minister, in recent days we've heard your Attorney General come under pressure. A statement made in Parliament about calling candidates for the President a drumstick. And calling for him to resign and step down as the Attorney General. Any comment from you on this?
Well,
Call for him to step down?
Well, I don't think this statement has met the threshold for resignation of anyone who would have said this. I think everything has to be taken into context. And I believe that the Attorney General issued a statement and he placed his comment into context. And he also went ahead and apologized. And I believe that his statement was sincere and genuine. And I think it should be accepted by all who believe that his comment would have offended them, and accept this and let's move on. What I will say on this occasion, though, too, as well, is that those who speak must be consistent with the application of the litmus test. That we have seen many of my ministers, my own wife, so many things have been said about her publicly, and the deceased Madam Speaker, even the current president. Many things were said leading up to the election of the president. None of his organizations, who claim to be representing women of all races, of all creed, of all class and political affiliation, said anything. And so one has to question the sincerity of some people putting their hand up in objection. If you're going to stand for women, you must stand for all women. If you're going to defend women, you must defend all women. And you must not be selective based on political affiliation or who said it. When women in Dominica were called prostitutes, these organizations, as if they were not existent in Dominica. They were not existent in Dominica. And so let us, if we are sincere about women's issues and protecting women as we are in this government, then people who espouse to be women's organizations, yeah. But interestingly, Matt, that the same people who the Attorney General's comments and say they're representing women are yet to congratulate a woman president. First in the history of Dominica. She's a woman and she's a person of Carinlago descent. And none of these organizations who claim to be women's rights advocates. We had in recent in 2019 and subsequent 2022, the most women in parliament. These organizations have not lauded this thing. Regional and international people have recognized this, and not the local people. So, any Dominican who is serious about these issues cannot take them seriously. They would talk about domestic violence. We went to Parliament and passed the most comprehensive set of legislation, the most far-reaching legislation to protect women and men and the elderly and children in Dominica. And not one of these organizations who claim to be women's organizations, women activists, has issued a statement, not even a one word or two words in support of the legislation. We have gone ahead and we have increased, we have got a whole new structure to provide support to women and children. And no public statements about this thing. Let us, for Christ's sake, stop playing politics with people. And if we're serious about and genuine about representing people, let us represent everyone. But you can't want to spend so much time on after the Attorney General has apologized. But there was no call by the Women's Bureau or not Women's Bureau, the whatever the association they have and so forth. And then let us walk the streets of Roseau to acclaim victory that we are the first female president in Dominica. And let it be a shining light for other girls in Dominica and young boys. Come on. I know everybody knows that this politics being played. But the Attorney General has, in response to your question, reiterating the response to your question, the AG has apologized, and I think it's an opportunity time for us to move on. But it is still not too late for these very same organizations to congratulate the president. I see you agree with me. You always agree with me sometimes. Most times you agree with me, man. Too. Most times you agree with me, you know. Yeah. That's right.
There seems to be a dark cloud looming about reports about some organization doing some investigation over Dominica. First we heard about the 12th of September. And we heard about the 25th. We heard about it yesterday. This report should have come out. And some time in the report. Are you concerned of movements on?
Well, I mean, these things are usual. There are elements in Dominica, opposition elements in Dominica, who have consistently colluded with external people who have no interest in Dominica, who have never been to Dominica, who have never advocated on anything positive about Dominica, and engage these people, find monies to pay these people to write stories about Dominica. We have seen it on CBS, we have seen it on Al Jazeera, we have seen it in France 24, we have seen it on a number of so-called independent journalists, investigative journalists, writing stories about Dominica, all supported by opposition elements. How do the opposition elements know what are the questions being asked and when it's coming out, and okay, it's not coming out today, it'll come out tomorrow? Who are the ones saying that? The opposition elements who are saying to us when these articles are going to come out. And in our own investigation, we know of all of the persons that they have been speaking to in Dominica. And the information that has been given to them, the points that have been given to them, the paragraphs that have been written and given to them, all of that is coming from opposition elements who do not love this country and who are colluding with people who have zero interest in our welfare and well-being and want to take bread from the people's Dominicans' mouths, to undermine our recovery efforts, to undermine our efforts to build resilience in our country, to undermine the construction of international airport, to undermine the construction of a marina, to undermine the sustaining of the $5 million a month NEP program that is touching so many lives in Dominica. These are the anti-Dominica practices and engagements which opposition people are engaging in. When Rosie was the leader of opposition, or Mike Douglas was leader of the opposition, they engaged themselves in constructive things about Dominica. We were able to go to the British Parliament and get British parliamentarians to go to their parliament and to ask their government of questions about Dominica, about bananas, about our trade. Rosie would go to Europe and to speak to European parliamentarians, to pose questions to the governments, and to look for economic and trade opportunities for Dominica, scholarships, medicine, medical doctors. That's what we did when we were in opposition. We built homes. We had preschools. We provide uniforms and books to children. We built schools. We had preschools. These are the things that we did when we were in opposition, when there was no money. When there was no money in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. That's what we did. But that is not what opposition elements are doing. Their intention is to destroy this country, hoping that they will be able to use that opportunity to get in the government. And then what? Then what? And so, you may be familiar, Matt, because you might have contacted some of the people who told you about this thing. But you know that this has been, you've seen the videos of who's saying when it's coming out. So if you know when it's coming out, you must know the people who are bringing it out. And you must be associated with the people who are bringing it out. And you may very well be the person paying the person who is going to bring it out. And so we're colluding with some white people across out of Dominica to undermine our economic opportunities. And for any Dominican to accept this because of partisanship would be unfortunate. Anybody who, because at the end of the day, this is the only place we'll be able to call our home. And we must never allow anybody to join forces with external elements who have no interest, who do not know how we live in Granby or in Portsmouth or in Vickers or the Carnegie Territory or in Mao or Roseau Central or Bath Estate. And to collude with them to undermine the economic and social development of Dominica. Because when we destroy Dominica, when these people destroy Dominica or they attempt to destroy Dominica, it is not Roosevelt's corridor who's going to be affected. All the people who are doing their investments in Dominica, the local investors who are spending so many millions of dollars investing and creating jobs in Dominica, what is going to happen to those jobs in Dominica? And when we deny government's ability to raise revenues, how is government going to finance the economic well-being of Dominica? You may feel a pinch in the economy. You know why you feel a pinch in the economy? Because government is not spending as much as government used to spend. So government spending is critical in a small island nation. Because government is the largest consumer of goods and services. And if government consumption of goods and services drop, it means therefore the impact on the economy will be felt. And it will be felt in households as well. We must treat these attacks on Dominica as if you have someone outside your personal home, stealing your home and breaking your windows and doors, and want to set your house on fire with you and your family in it. Because that is what these guys are doing to Dominica. That is what they're doing to Dominica. So let them write. They can write all what they want about Dominica, but that will not change the political misfortunes in Dominica. Because at the end of it, the majority of Dominicans understand and they're enlightened to what's happening in Dominica. But those who want to undermine Dominica, it's unfortunate. But let them write. Whether they come on 12th of October or 4th of October, 4th of October, doesn't matter to me. They should bring it out tonight. Bring it out tonight. But can we not get them to write about climate change and the impacts of climate change? Can we not get them to write about the need for the international financial institutions to change their attitude towards us and have it published in the British and the American and the European newspapers? If we have money to pay these terrorists to write about and to undermine our economic well-being, can we not use the same money that we're paying them that benefactors are given to the opposition to pay these people? To write positive stories about Dominica? So, let them write. Let them write. But we will forge on. Our future and our current well-being is in the hands of God. That's why I tell to all developed countries, I mean to them. Everybody. And we have survived and surmounted all challenges by the grace of God. And by the grace of God, we shall surmount whatever challenges anybody put forth before us. Because our trust and faith is not in man, but in God. Yes.
Yeah, yes, PM. You spoke about the generators that government is going to society. I want to find out the cost that government intends to source generators, the cost of them. And also, it might be too early to ask that question as it relates to the gun amnesty, but the Minister of National Security through your government would have issued the gun amnesty starting on the first. You probably have your eyes, ears on the ground, find out what impact it is going to have. Can you tell us something about that also, please?
Well, I do not have the financial details or cost details of the generator. I can produce it some of the time, but what the government has done is to procure this 5.2 megawatt generator. As a matter of fact, just to be fully transparent, this generator is part of the International Airport project. So it is part of the International Airport project that will come at the end of the construction of the airport to serve as backup generation capacity at the International Airport. What we have done is that we have advanced the purchase of that generator, and then we shall lease it to Dominic. And this is being done to simply reduce or avoid any increase in the cost of electricity to the consumers. Because obviously, government will lease this generator at non-commercial rates so that there will not be any impact on the consumers. So this is our preoccupation, because we recognize that under law, that if Dominic were to spend money, the regulators will have to allow Dominic to recover its investment from the consumer. And the only way you're going to recover investment in consumer is increasing the cost of the service to consumers. So we're seeking to negate the passing on of the debt to the consumers. With respect to the leasing of the 3 megawatt plant from the United States, Dominic is underwriting the cost of that for his own financial means. And then we have also granted Dominic a 0.7 megawatt generator that is all currently online, and we'll have some specific lease agreements. Now, we're entering into agreement with Dominic because Dominic is a company, and I want to ensure that at all steps of the way, that government does not interfere in Dominic one way or the other. And so that whatever we do with Dominic has to be done properly, legally, with all of the financial rules recognized and so on, because it's a company, it's not a department of government. It's a company registered on the Companies Act of Dominica, and therefore we respect and treating them in that manner, and so that there's no interference of government in this. I have stepped forward as Prime Minister in this matter because it's a national issue, and we have the view, and I'm of the view, that government must be involved to assist in finding a resolution to this impact, to this matter, especially where it's going to impact the citizens of Dominica. So whatever we do, Carly, to respond to your question, we will ensure that we do not pass on the costs to consumers. This is why government has decided to purchase the generator and lease it to Dominic. If we had allowed Dominic to purchase it, then you will see an increase in the cost of electricity to consumers. And with all of the frustrations that we've had for the last weeks, I would not want to see an increase. That is the Christmas gift that Dominic is giving us at this time. But to avoid it from giving us that kind of Christmas giving so far as increasing the cost of electricity, then we assisting them with that regard. On the gun issue, well, as you know, the police have been engaged in some operations to recover illegal firearms in Dominica. We are giving people an opportunity in this month to surrender illegal firearm. To surrender the illegal firearm. If you use that period of time, you will not be prosecuted. But the moment the time elapses, we will go back on aggressive, sustained, serious campaign to eradicate the illegal firearms in Dominica. As a matter of fact, we're even looking at the legislation to see what else we can do with the legislation to strengthen the hands of prosecutors in prosecuting gun crimes in Dominica. This is a threat to our security, it's a threat to our social fabric, and it's a threat to our economic circumstance. And we do not want it to get to a point of being out of hand, because one gun crime is one too many. And therefore, whether you are 1 or 11 or 12, it is one too many. And therefore, we want to ensure that we take all of the preemptive actions. We have invested heavily to put in scanners at our ports of entry. We have had great success so far, so it's investment that was well made, so that we can minimize those that go through our ports. And I have said to many young people that when the trading of illegal firearms is not for a small country like ours, that's for big countries. So anybody who believes that he has a few guns and you want to trade it in Guadeloupe or Martinique and these countries, you're really looking for your own death. Because you may be selling a gun to a guy who really is out to kill you and to kill your family. So don't play with this illegal gun business. This is not for our country. And if you have it and then you use it to commission a crime, it's even worse. And so I would like to urge all of us, the media, the churches, the civil society, the business community, the trade unions, the youth groups, the political parties, everybody, the village councils, town councils, city council, to lend your voice to this effort of the police and the Minister for National Security government in urging our citizens and residents who may be in possession of illegal firearms to use this opportunity. To use the opportunity. If you do not want to come yourself, get your mother to take us. If you do not want to use your mother, use a lawyer. You understand? Or just drop it off in front of the police station and call the police station and say the firearm outside. Some way. Just get it off the streets. Because it may very well be used to kill you at some point. And so that is my call and my urging for all of us, because this is a societal problem and it requires a societal response to solve the problem. The police will do its part, the government will do its part, but if all of us were to join forces, then certainly it will be something good for all of us. Thank you. Yes.
Prime Minister, following the consultations on electoral reform, you suggested that you would like to see Parliament convene on the reforms by the end of the year. Would you say that you are on course to meet that objective by end of the year?
Yeah, I'm hoping that by then all of the necessary additional consultations, obviously, we have been collating all of the comments and suggestions made, both orally and in writing, at the various consultations, and looking at the general threads that have been identified in those submissions, and then obviously we will come out led by the Attorney General with legislation that we believe need to be looked at to be advanced. The Constitution requires that we consult with the Electoral Commission, and that will be done prior to going to the Parliament. So this is the process that we're looking to employ. I believe we have had extensive consultations. I believe those who wanted to share their views were given multiple opportunities, plus you had the opportunity to submit in writing as requested. So I think insofar as consultation, there has been widespread consultation. If we require to consult one or two groups or individuals specifically on some specific points, then we'll do so. But I believe that it is in the country's economic and social well-being to usher in 2024 with legislation that will allow the Electoral Commission to advance the improvements to the electoral system of Dominica. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for your questions. I appreciate them. Let me again urge us to continue to be cautious. This is what we're talking about when we talk about climate change. The impacts, as you know, 20 years ago, when we would say that we'll have flooding in Dominica, there was nothing that we used to talk about in Dominica. Rain would fall for weeks, and all we will say is brown seas. But now we have a couple of hours of rain, and we'll have flooding in some parts of Dominica. And even areas where we would have built river defense walls, the swelling of these rivers and these ravines, go overboard. And so this is why we're so passionate about the issues of climate change, because this is what we're saying. We saw the hottest summer recorded thus far, and one can understand the impact on agriculture and food security, and so many other things. So really, I'm hoping that we all understand and appreciate what we're fighting with and so forth. So God bless us, and let us continue to do what we have to do for our country, and let us peace, unity. Peace and unity. That's what we have to. We cannot keep fighting every day on things that we're collaborating on. Thank you very much. Thank you.